boots. Are they the future for protecting our horses' hooves? Will shoes eventually become completely redundant, thrown on the scrap heap where they belong? Or are metal shoes always going to have a place and hoof boots are just a fancy accessory? I mean, a booted horse isn't going to be able to do all the things a shod horse can. And it certainly won't be able to jump, canter and gallop, will it? What about using hoof boots in competitions? Are they allowed? So many different hoof boots are now coming out onto the marketplace, so people must be ditching those shoes and moving over to barefoot and booted. And if you want to transition your horse to barefoot, then surely getting a pair of hoof boots is just simply a no-brainer. Owners all over the globe are ditching the metal shoe and turning to the alternative method of booting if they feel the need to protect their horse's hooves whilst riding. Perhaps you've heard all the hype about barefoot, but you feel scared, apprehensive, worried, even cruel to contemplate taking your horse's shoes off. And you don't know a thing about hoof boots. Well, there's no reason to panic. As the equine world battles under the strain of having to continually justify nailing metal shoes to horses' hooves, the humble hoof boot is quietly but surely climbing the ranks to become the go-to to help your horse transition to barefoot. Hoof boots really are becoming the must-have piece of tack for horses nowadays, from sporty to slimline to sparkly to colourful and even therapeutic too. Hoof boots truly are the accessory to have for your horse, and for very good reason. They last at least 20 times longer than metal shoes, which means they don't need replacing every 6 weeks. They work out way cheaper than metal shoes in the long run. They're practical and light and can be easily put on and taken off in seconds, giving the horse owner free choice as to when and where they might be needed. They come in all kinds of sizes, from narrow to really wide, really mini to extremely big. They all come with fitting charts and some with fit kits too, so it's now even easier than ever for horse owners to determine which size hoof boot is best for their horse. They also look quite cool on your horse and are a real head turner, and horses get used to them really quickly and don't flinch when they are put on or taken off, compared to nailing metal to their feet. And just like our pairs of human boots, horses don't need to wear them 24/7. When they don't need them, they can go barefoot. But if you are an active horse rider and you've been told you need shoes to support your horse's hooves, will you really be rushing off to buy your horse the next best item of hoofwear, or will you just stick with your trusted metal shoes? I mean, hoof boots are just a bit of a gimmick, aren't they? How could it be possible for them to stand up to the same rigorous work as a metal shoe? Well, in this video, I am going to bust a few myths about the hoof boot and show you why hoof boots are well and truly here to stay and are revolutionising the equine world. Metal shoes are becoming quite passé in a health-conscious world that is starting to care more and more about animal welfare. After all, you wouldn't walk around with metal on the bottom of your own shoes all day, would you? Hello, I'm Lindsay Setchell, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video. And if you enjoy it, then please do like, subscribe and hit that notification bell. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, let me introduce myself. I'm the editor of the Barefoot Horse magazine, the founder of the trimming organisation Hoofing Marvellous, and I'm a presenter on Barefoot Live TV. And me and my team are currently touring the UK and Ireland presenting our 3-day horse and hoof care workshops. You could say that barefoot horses is really my thing. If you've not seen any of my videos before, our mission on this new YouTube channel is to rid the world of unnecessary lameness, to get our horses sound and healthy, and to keep horse owners well informed and educated about the growing desire to keep horses barefoot. If you do decide to join me on this journey, together we will make the equine world a far better place for our domestic horses to live in. Are you with me? Then let's get into it. No matter whether you are a believer in barefoot or not, you just can't escape the fact that the hoof boot business is now a very big business, because unless you've been living under a large rock, then you will definitely have heard of hoof boots. And new hoof boots are popping up everywhere. Awesome boots, beautifully designed, looking gorgeous on your horse, and of course with the added benefit of no nails. Today, more than at any other time in history, owners have a choice. There are so many different hoof boot models on the market today, choosing a hoof boot to fit your horse has never been easier. Hoof boots now come in so many different sizes, models and colours. 2022 is truly an amazing time to own horses as more and more owners take the protection of their horses' hooves into their own hands. Sit yourself down and ask yourself these questions. When you compare hoof boots and shoes, which one offers protection and comfort without further damage to the foot? Which one has more grip on tarmac roads and off-road? Which one can be taken off after a ride, allowing your horse to go bare? Which one is cheaper in the long term and lasts much, much longer? In general, at least 20 times longer than shoes. Which one will turn heads everywhere you go, but above all, which one will allow your horse to grow the foot he was always naturally meant to have? There are lots of false beliefs about hoof boots not being suitable for horses, such as hoof boots come off at high speeds, hoof boots just rub and twist, so they are useless, hoof boots can't be used in competitions, and your horse can't jump in hoof boots. Well, it is true that there still are certain competitions where hoof boots are not allowed, and it always depends on the organiser's beliefs rather than the actual truths of the hoof boots. But boots rubbing or coming off at high speeds or not being suitable for jumping in are not based on everyday reality. Sure, some owners have experienced a hoof boot coming off or rubbing, but more often than not, these odd instances were because the boots just didn't fit properly in the first place. Just like our boots on our own feet, they have to fit well or they'll pinch, rub and hurt. And when you go to buy new boots for your own feet, you take the time to make sure you get the right size. It should be no different for the horse. Hoof boots need to be fitted well, and initially this can appear a little daunting to an owner new to the idea of booting. Fit kits and size charts and full explanations on how to measure your horse's hooves can be easily accessed nowadays online. And if your horse's hooves are longer than wide, or wider than long, or very big or very small, then you should easily find a boot nowadays to fit. There are still some exceptions, of course, for the very extra large feet, but this is beginning to change as hoof boot manufacturers continue to respond to the demands made on them by owners in the marketplace. And if you are wanting to transition to barefoot with your horse, then using hoof boots is the way to do it, keeping your horse truly comfortable out on rides in those early days. Many horses that are transitioning tend to only need boots on the front hooves, but some like to boot their horse on all four. And some owners go on to continue to use hoof boots because they like the look of them on their horse, and they want to make sure their horse is protected at all times. So one of the questions I get asked all the time is, will using hoof boots stop my horse's hooves from toughening up? Using hoof boots won't stop your horse's feet from toughening up. Unlike metal shoes, hoof boots protect, but they don't harm the hoof because boots still allow your horse's hoof mechanism, the natural expansion and contraction, to function as nature intended. Plus, hoof boots are only worn for short periods of time and then can be removed, so the horse can experience and enjoy barefoot, stimulating those hooves to grow more healthily. In a metal nailed-on shoe, this natural expansion and contraction is severely impeded, and that is a huge problem for a horse. In my last video, I talked about how shoeing, as well as rugging and clipping, can affect the horse's thermoregulatory mechanisms, and how metal is such a good conductor of heat and cold that no owner can be totally sure that their horse is not being affected by these unnatural temperatures, changed by wearing shoes. Also, many other problems when wearing metal shoes might not be obvious initially, and changes can be quite subtle. But over time, the horse's feet and body do begin to suffer from being continually prevented from functioning as nature actually intended. The hoof mechanism is vital for good hoof, body and mental health, but it is true to say that most people don't notice these gradual, insidious changes taking place in their horse's feet in metal shoes, thinking that the metal shoe is doing just fine, but that's far from the case. Hooves are always changed and deformed in metal nailed-on shoes, always. You just get used to seeing it. But in a hoof boot, These problems just don't exist. Joints, soft tissues, and movement that were previously compromised in shoes all begin to improve in hoof boots and barefoot. It is true that many horses can transition out of shoes without the aid of hoof boots, but many more whose hooves have been damaged by years of shoeing and diet issues just need that little bit of extra help. But what about the toughening up? Tough hooves just don't happen overnight. They have to grow to become tough. The soles need to grow thicker, the walls need to grow stronger, and the frogs and the digital cushion all need to grow healthier. And good, healthy, strong growth comes from the right diet and management and trimming and movement. Healthy hooves begin to develop when your horse transitions to barefoot, whether your horse wears hoof boots or not. Boots are usually only needed when your horse is out and about trail riding, hacking and competing. And for the rest of the time, your horse is bare, and those bare feet are getting the much needed stimulation they need from the ground. Growing healthy feet isn't just about being stimulated from the ground, it's about the hoof mechanism working properly. The blood moving around the hoof as nature intended, nourishing and healing the hoof. All that gets impeded in shoes, and we now know this is a fact. So don't be worried, hoof boots aren't going to slow you down or stop your horse's feet from transitioning out of shoes. They just won't. Boots help. They don't hinder. But what about doing the same things that you can do with a shod horse? And one of the biggest questions myself and my team get asked is, can horses actually jump in hoof boots? Well, yes. We put up a post on the magazine Facebook page of Amelia Campbell-Horn from South Africa jumping her horse in scoot boots. Amelia said, I have competed up to the 1.5 metre class in hoof boots on my top mare and the 1.3 metre on my second horse using hoof boots and barefoot. My youngster has competed up to 1.2 metres barefoot. And Amelia isn't the only one. Competitors are jumping in hoof boots everywhere, but owners always have concerns, like Kim, who said, I like the idea of jumping in boots and in arenas with good footing. It appears to be successful. But what about on grass, where most of the low-level competitions are in my area? We published an interview with other top-level riders, such as Abby Cooper, in the Barefoot Horse magazine, in back issue 21. And Abby said, I competed in my first Grand Prix using boots. The jump was 1.45 metres and we placed 5th in a crowd of experienced World Cup riders, and Abby was jumping on grass. But you know, it is always going to be a concern if the grass is wet or boggy, but the concerns would be there for shod horses too. No horse is 100% safe jumping on surfaces which are slippy, and they are going to pose challenges for horses whether they are booted, bare or shod. But rules for jumping and competing in boots do differ depending on the country that you live in. So do check the relevant rule book online, and if your sport doesn't allow hoof boots to be used, then make sure your horse's hooves are transitioned successfully to barefoot, and then you can compete. No problem at all. The rules which are set in competitions tend to be fairly old-fashioned and, as with many things in the equine world, not up to date and not moving with the flow of the modern horse owner. Start lobbying the sports societies for changes in the rules of horses wearing hoof boots. Touching on those slippery or icy surfaces, most hoof boots come with the ability to attach studs, creating a boot not unlike a football boot for a human. I wouldn't recommend having them fitted all the time, but they are perfect if your horse is subjected to slippery ground and especially ice. And many hoof boots on the market now have fantastic soles designed for grip and of course will win hands down against a slippery metal shoe. Such as Equine Fusions, who developed the first flexible sole on a hoof boot with remarkable tread. But a word of warning for you fashion-conscious owners out there, the best hoof boot for your horse is not necessarily the one you prefer, it's the one that fits your horse the best. So to sum up, if the only thing stopping you going barefoot with your horse is the worry that your horse needs some protection, then remember these things. Hoof boots provide excellent comfort for the horse and rider. They are shock absorbing, abrasion and slip resistant, often without studs, such as the Equine Fusions. They are easy and quick on and off. They give your horse freedom to move as nature intended and can last hundreds and hundreds of kilometres compared to the short life of the metal shoe. Next time your horse's shoes have worn out in 6 weeks and you're about to reach into your wallet to purchase another set, think how much longer a pair of hoof boots would have lasted. No nails, no contraction, no brainer. In another video, I will delve deeper into some of the science behind hoof boots versus metal shoes, looking at research which assessed how hoof boots compared to metal shoes with regards dampening of concussive forces, which is particularly relevant if you are jumping in shoes and want even more solid data and evidence on why you should change to boots and barefoot and ditch the shoes. I hope you liked this video, and if you have any comments about hoof boots versus metal shoes, then please do put your comments below. I really do want to get a dialogue going with you, and if you want to contact us privately, then follow the links below to talk to me and my team, and we will try and help you work through all of that misinformation that's out there in the equine world. Don't forget though, there are other ways that you can find more information. You can grab a subscription to the Barefoot Horse magazine. Issue 34 is out very soon. You can also join our private members group, Barefoot Live. You can attend a workshop, but only if you live in the UK or Ireland. But there will be more news on us travelling further afield soon, folks. And in the pipeline, we have some online training coming up for owners and those who want to study to become a trimmer. That's all coming very soon. But what can you do right now? Well, if you found this video very useful, then please do let others know by sharing on your social media channels. Take a still of this video and tag me in it, because I will see it and I will respond. Please also join my email list, and I will send you a short video every week with a little bit of behind the scenes info that you won't get from the main channel. Remember, the reason we are here and why we need you to subscribe to help us to rid the world of desperate unnecessary lameness, because together, folks, we can do it. So don't forget to check out my other videos on this channel, probably here or here. And I'll be talking about, in the next one, the emotive subject of all horses being able to go barefoot, but not all owners, and what inflammation has to do with that statement. That should be a good one. So thanks for sticking around to the end of this video. I really look forward to hearing how this video helped you, because after all, that's why I'm here. See you again in the next video. Bye-bye, barefooters, and bye-bye everyone who wants to go barefoot. Bye-bye.